Welcome to Trivia Clips. Michael Jackson was one of the greatest artists of all time. That's not an opinion, it's a fact. He sold over 400 million records, filled stadiums around the world, and built a musical empire that seemed impossible to destroy. But when he died in 2009, something happened that confused the entire world. Because while millions of fans were mourning his death, one question quietly began to circulate over and over again. What happened to Michael Jackson's fortune? How could someone who made so much money end up surrounded by debt and yet become richer after death? The answer isn't simple, and that's exactly why this story is so fascinating. For decades, Michael Jackson was a money-making machine. From a very young age, with the Jackson 5, he was already earning millions. But when he launched his solo career, everything exploded. Off the Wall made him a star. Bad confirmed his dominance. But Thriller took him to a level no one had ever reached before. To this day, Thriller remains the best-selling album in history. Every song, every replay, every license, every re-release continued generating money year after year. Add to that historic world tours, multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, films, merchandise, and extremely valuable music rights. Michael Jackson wasn't just a singer, he was a global brand. So here comes the great contradiction. If Michael Jackson made so much money, how did he end up with serious financial problems? The answer lies in his lifestyle. Michael Jackson didn't live like a normal person. He lived like someone who grew up under the spotlight and never experienced a normal life. Neverland Ranch wasn't a house. It was a private amusement park. It had a zoo, a movie theater, amusement rides, permanent security, and a massive staff working around the clock. Maintaining Neverland alone cost millions of dollars per year. But that was only the beginning. Michael Jackson spent enormous amounts of money on travel, mansions, security, lawyers, legal settlements, and lawsuits that never seemed to end. And here's where the real problem appeared. For several years, Michael Jackson was not touring. And although his music was still generating income, money was no longer coming in as fast as it was going out. Expenses kept rising. Income slowed down. That's when he started taking out loans. To cover his costs, Michael Jackson made a critical decision. He used his music as collateral, especially his stake in one of the most valuable music catalogs in the world, which included songs by the Beatles. That catalog was a treasure, but it also became a burden. By the mid-2000s, Michael Jackson owed hundreds of millions of dollars. He wasn't officially bankrupt, but his financial situation was extremely fragile. And then came the year 2009. On June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died suddenly in Los Angeles. The world stopped. But while fans were grieving, banks, lawyers, and executives began asking a different question. How much money did Michael Jackson really leave behind? The answers were confusing. Some claimed he was a billionaire. Others said he was practically broke. The truth was somewhere in between. Michael Jackson died with an estimated $400 to $500 million in debt. The king of pop was deeply in debt. But here comes the unexpected twist. He also left behind assets of enormous value: music rights, unreleased recordings, trademarks, and contracts that continued generating money even after his death. And then his will was activated. Michael Jackson had left clear instructions. His fortune would be divided between his 3 children, his mother, Katherine Jackson, and several charitable organizations. Notably, his father and other relatives were excluded, and that immediately sparked controversy. But the most important detail wasn't who inherited the money. It was who controlled it. Michael Jackson placed his estate in the hands of professional executives. People with financial expertise whose mission was very clear: save the estate and make it grow. And this is where the story truly changes. After his death, Michael Jackson's estate became a battlefield. Lawsuits, legal disputes, unhappy family members, and constant pressure from the public. Many people questioned whether the money was being used the way Michael Jackson would have wanted. Others asked something even more uncomfortable. Who was really profiting from Michael Jackson's death? Every financial decision was scrutinized. Every deal raised suspicion. But there was one uncomfortable truth. Michael Jackson was a creative genius, but not a disciplined financial manager. He trusted the wrong people, signed contracts he didn't always fully understand, and often made emotional, not strategic decisions. After his death, that changed. The executors began doing something Michael Jackson rarely did consistently, thinking long-term. It wasn't just about selling music. It was about protecting the Michael Jackson brand. That meant knowing when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say no. Because not every offer was accepted. Some massive deals were rejected to avoid damaging his image. This is something many people don't realize. Money kept coming in, but not at any cost. Here's a key part of this story: control. Michael Jackson's fortune wasn't just money. It was power, influence, responsibility. There were unreleased recordings, unfinished songs, ideas that were never completed. Some wanted to release everything. Others understood that doing so could destroy the value of his legacy. A crucial decision was made. Do not oversaturate the public. Because when an artist appears everywhere, they lose mystery. And when mystery disappears, value follows. Meanwhile, the world itself was changing. Music was no longer sold mainly on CDs. Streaming took over the industry, and many legendary artists from the past faded away. But Michael Jackson didn't. His songs adapted perfectly to the digital era. They still sounded current. They still dominated playlists. They were still being discovered by younger generations. People who weren't even born when Michael Jackson died started listening to his music. Every new stream meant more money flowing in. Michael Jackson became timeless, and financially that's priceless. But growth wasn't always smooth. From time to time, documentaries, articles, and debates dragged his name back into controversy. That could have destroyed his commercial value. But something unexpected happened. Every time his name returned to the headlines, people returned to his music. They listened. They watched his videos. They tried to understand who he really was. Controversy didn't erase him. It kept him relevant. And in the entertainment industry, relevance equals survival. Another important factor was how his posthumous appearances were handled. There were no endless artificial tours, no constant hologram shows, no uncontrolled exploitation. Every tribute was measured. Every appearance was calculated. The goal wasn't to replace Michael Jackson. It was to preserve him, and that strengthened his image even more. As the years passed, something happened quietly in the background. The debt stopped being a threat. What looked like an irreversible financial disaster in 2009 slowly turned into a recovery story. The turning point came with a historic decision: the sale of Michael Jackson's stake in the music catalog he shared with Sony. That single deal generated around $750 million. With that money, the debt disappeared. His children's future was secured, and the estate became financially stable. From that moment on, Michael Jackson's fortune never stopped growing. But here's something rarely discussed. Managing a legacy like Michael Jackson's isn't just about making money, it's about timing. Knowing when to release something, when to wait, when to let silence build anticipation. The estate learned that scarcity creates value, that waiting can be more powerful than constant exposure, and that patience pays off. Another key factor was education. The people managing the estate studied the mistakes Michael Jackson made in life. They analyzed what went wrong, where money was lost, who took advantage of it, and they made sure those mistakes wouldn't be repeated. Contracts became tighter. Oversight became stricter. Decisions became colder, but smarter. At the same time, Michael Jackson's influence continued expanding globally. His music was used in movies, commercials, documentaries, sporting events, and cultural moments around the world. Every usage meant royalties. Every appearance reinforced his relevance. Michael Jackson wasn't just remembered. he was constantly reintroduced. Today, more than a decade after his death, Michael Jackson remains one of the highest-earning deceased artists every single year. His music is alive. It plays on streaming platforms, radio stations, films, and advertisements. Since his death, Michael Jackson has generated over $2 billion, a number that keeps him at the very top of deceased artists worldwide. He died in debt, but he left behind a legacy so powerful that money never stopped flowing. And that brings us to the final reflection. Michael Jackson's true fortune was never just his money. It was his cultural impact, the way his music still moves people, the way his name still sparks debate, the way his legacy refuses to fade. And that's why the discussion never ends. Because when people talk about legacy, influence, and permanence, many dare to say something that still ignites controversy. Michael Jackson was better than Prince, and that is the next debate. See you in the next episode of Trivia.